coming July, we have 3 Vivas, right? Zhao Zhenran, and then Tandis and Muhammad. There are 3 Vivas. So now I'm your supervisor. So my work, my responsibility is to tell you the best possible way, as I know it, for you to succeed, right? So my experience is it's best that you're present here, present on campus, not online, right? For the Viva presentations, for many reasons, and my experience being that one of the things is about internet connection. There's problem with internet connection. They have problem with that, or the other one has to do with what is it? When we're connected to internet connection too. So because sometimes it's good over there, but it's not good over here. Sometimes it's good over here, it's not good over there, right? The connection, right? So you want it to be both good. That's a big part. The other part is when the committee is here and you're present in the committee, they can be more acceptable to your thoughts than online. You know what I mean? So they are much more open, they are much more acceptable, and they're not so much irritated. They're more patient, You know what I mean? And more, what's patient in Chinese?
Nice.
They are more patient, because they're face to face, right? Because online sometimes when there's interruption, when the words are not clear, and some examiners might not be as patient. So if the mood is affected, then it's not good. But if it's in the same environment, right, then it's different. Now there are examiners that do online. They are online. That's a different story, right? But some of the examiners will be here, some of the examiners will be online, and sometimes they come here. So in terms of technological context, in terms of emotional context, it's much better over here. And the third one is the commitment. It shows that you are committed to come, especially your situation is difficult, right? If you say you have family commitment, teaching commitment, in the case of Tandis and Muhammad, it's even worse. They have a war going on right now, right? Israel is bombing them, America is bombing them, right? It's even worse. But if they make that commitment, it shows that, okay, these people are serious, people are committed, people become more sympathetic to you. You know what I mean? Sympathetic. Check what is sympathetic.
同情。
比较同情，对。
同情。
more sympathetic, more empathetic, so, and I can tell the story as a supervisor. Look, she is going through this, or he is going through this, some sickness, some family situation, that kind of thing. That then it becomes much more convincing. And if there's a problem, the committee members tend to be much more okay. They will say, especially Malaysians, we tend to be much more, I want to say sympathetic, but not as strict as some other countries. The examiners tend to be more sympathetic, compassionate. So when there's a reason to be sympathetic, a reason to be compassionate, it's even better. So those 3 reasons, I strongly encourage you to be here. So although I know the conditions many times it's challenging for you to be on campus during Viva, especially if you've gone back or you're from another place. Yeah, and so from the perspective of supervisor, making sure that you have higher chances of succeeding, higher chances of success for your Viva, I'm advising you to be present physically here during the Viva, right? So that is the point I want to raise. And for the rest of you, please make sure that you follow up on your schedule, that you are not behind. So in the case of Lanbin follow up with me many times, so that's why I can, he's making his presentation today. So you are responsible for your schedule, and when you're here, you're not here, you're also responsible for your schedule. So please make sure, so like Zhang, I know that you had a problem with eye condition, so communicate with me. So it's better if you have any problem, you cannot meet me, or you cannot come, or you have some issues, you communicate. That is much better than keeping silent and I do not know what's going on with you, or you're keeping quiet, right? We are actually at the master's and PhD level, so we are all adults, so we will not treat you like your primary, secondary school students or like undergraduates. So you're all adult, you're in charge of your schedule and all that. So I do want you to also remind yourself that master's and PhD is different, because there is no fixed structure, there's no fixed schedule. Like undergraduate, you have exams, you have assignments, you complete the exam, you complete. But for PhD, for masters, you design the schedule yourself. You design the task that you need to complete, the deadlines. So you need to pursue this more in a more committed way. Sometimes family members do not understand this. Sometimes your friends do not understand this. Sometimes your work colleagues, your employers do not understand this. They think that you have all the time as a PhD student. They think they have all the time as a master student. But you need to commit to that structure. And one of the reasons we have this group supervision, right? We have this group supervision is to give you that support and pressure at the same time, so that you stay connected to our family of postgraduates, to CPR, to USM, right? And to be part of your friends, your families of postgraduates. So you continue to learn, continue to be guided, and to listen, and somewhat pressuring yourself to be on course, on track, to come back to your research. And that's the importance of one of the aspects of our group supervision. Many supervisors in Malaysia tend to do one-to-one. I do the group supervision way, right? So anyway, we'll start with Lanbin. Lanbin, you ready? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We will start, Lanbin. There you go. The floor is yours. I think you're ready. Okay.
Hello everyone. The urban-rural disparity in development of compulsory education in China, a comparative study of financial imposition on province. Hence, 1. Introduction. Then introduction. 2. Natural review. 3. Research methodology. 4. Reference. 1. Introduction. 1.1 Background. Natural urban rural disparities in compulsory education. The financial investment in compulsory education plays a cultural role in shaping the urban rural education gap in China. Although the government has significantly increased the funding for migrant education in recent years, disparities between urban and rural areas remain substantial due to differences in funding allocation, policy implementation, and local economic capacity. As of 2023, rural compulsory education funding accounted for 28.5% of the total national education investment, reflecting an ongoing imbalance in resource distribution. The gap in pupil funding is also evident. Urban schools receive an average of 20,500 yuan per student, while rural schools receive only 8,200 yuan. Additionally, disparities in infrastructure and technological resources persist, with the coverage rate of information equipment reaches 95.6% in urban areas, but only 72.3% in rural schools. The persistent lack of funding of rural education has limited the improvement of school facilities, teachers' salaries, and education resources, funding within the gap between urban and rural areas. Taking Heilongjiang province as an example, this study analyzed the urban-rural differentiation of financial investment and across the gap between urban and rural development of education, compulsory education in China. Why study Heilongjiang? The choice of Heilongjiang province and the race subjects stem from its typical urban-rural dual structure and the policy implemental value in province. 1. Regional economic characteristics. As a agricultural province, 37.6% of its population lives in rural areas, yet the funding gap for rural education accounts for 16% of the total gap in the province. This makes it ideal spot for observing the increase between fiscal investment mechanisms and urban-rural disparities. 2. Policy demonstration significance. Heilongjiang province lands the provincial level coordination reform applied in 2019, but the 2023 audit shows that after the reform, urban teachers' salaries are still 80% lower than those in urban areas, proving empirical scenario for studying policy implementation. Factual. 1.2 Scope of the study. Time scale 28 years to 23 years. Risk area province Heilongjiang. Comparison of urban levels Heilongjiang, Suihua, Mohe, and corresponding county and rural areas. Why start Heilongjiang, Suihua, Mohe? Because Heilongjiang is capital city, Suihua more economically moderate city, and Mohe is a remote township area. Sampling reached 50 primary and secondary schools in urban and rural areas. Interviews 50 teachers, 10 parents, 20 studies. 1 point problem statement. There is significant gap between urban and rural financial inputs to compulsory education in China, which affects the allocation of resources and the quality of education. In Heilongjiang, the imbalance is more pronounced due to the significant economic difference between urban and rural areas. Existing studies have focused on aspects such as teacher distribution, pupil choose So Phil have analyzed how difference in financial inputs critical affect urban and rural education development. Considering the current actual research situation, there are still three main deficiencies based on the existing research. One, insufficient research on regional difference in facial inputs. Two, insufficient analysis of the flow and use efficiency of fiscal funds. Fiscal policy implementation bias has not been fully explored. 1.4 Research question and research objectives. 1. What are the current urban-rural disparities in compulsory education in Heilongjiang province? 2. What are the factors that contribute to these disparities? 3. What policy recommendations can be derived from this research? Research objectives. Explore the current conditions of urban-rural disparities in compulsory education in Heilongjiang province, and analyze the role of fiscal investment of addressing these disparities. To analyze the factors contributing to urban-rural educational disparities by examining relevant policies, assessing the impacts of policy implementation and evaluating the economic influence on fiscal investment in compulsory education. 2. The real policy recommendations meant to improving fiscal investment and addressing the urban-rural disparities in compulsory education in Heilongjiang province based on findings of this research. Well, 1.5 research significance. The significance of research in this is the theoretical significance to fill the research gap of the impact of financial investment, the differences on urban and rural education quality, and to enrich education funds and public policy research. 2. Practical significance. Role in the unbalanced phenomenon of urban and rural financial investment in compulsory education in Heilongjiang provides empirical support for updating fiscal allocation. 3. Policy view. To provide a reference for the government to formulate fair and more effective education financial policies and to promote the balanced development of urban and rural education. Innovative. 1. Fill the gap in investment of compulsory education funds between urban and rural areas. 2. Theoretical contribution. Provide empirical support for the theory and analysis the deep-root mechanism of the role of financial investment structure on urban-rural education disparities. 3. Regional characteristics. Considering into account the special in economic and climate factors of Heilongjiang province, it provides new perspectives and success for education funds policy in similar regions. 4. Multi-level data analysis. The depth and breadth of the study on difference in financial inputs were prominent by analysis in analyzing data at the city, county, and township levels. Literature review. Some scholars view is the development of financial inputs policy in urban and rural compulsory education. They believe that in recent years, The Chinese government has increased the financial input to narrow the urban-rural education gap. However, there are still regional disparities in policy implementation and alignment between policy goals and actual needs requires further optimization. Studies indicate that financial studies, special fund allocations, and local funds significantly impact policy execution. Some scholars view is financial inputs, location and financial resources, and the development of compulsory education in urban and rural areas. They believe that students show that the distribution of financial resources increases determines the development gap in urban and rural compulsory education. The level of the financial inputs directly affects school in infrastructure, teacher allocation, and education quality. Additionally, external factors such as local economic development and population mobility influence in the effectiveness of financial inputs. Some scholars view its problem in process of financial inputs, believe that instability of financial inputs, inefficient use of funds, and deviation in policy implementation are the main problems. The limited local financial capacity in some rural areas has led to delays in the availability of transfer funds, untimely payment of teachers' salaries, and unbalanced provision of education resources. 3. Research methodology. 1.3.1 Inductive research strategy. Inductive research strategy is a research method that starts from a specific piece of data and summarizes a general law or theory to observation and analysis. Its logic is to move from the peculiar to the general, that is to analyze specific phenomenon situation of financial inputs in Heilongjiang and then to generalize the broader conclusion. Inductive research assumption is well suited. Also can be with Smith policy implementation model. It analyzes implementation of financial inputs policy in urban and rural popular education development and its impact on urban and rural compulsory education in development for definitions, policy objectives, implementing agreements, target groups, and environmental factors. Therefore, it's suitable to use this model. In inductive research strategies for key steps. Formula induction. Data collection reveals that financial inputs for urban and rural compulsory education in Heilongjiang province are characterized by inefficient spending, inefficient transfer payments, implements the distribution of funds, and deviations in policy implementation, exacerbation the urban-rural education gap. 2. Problem analysis. Analyze factors such as fiscal decentralization and policy implementation balance to reveal the decisions for the actual financial investment in education between urban and rural areas. 3. Exploring students. Drawing on policy presence propose solutions to realize financial allocations and enhance efficiency in the use of funds. Function 4. Summarizes the study findings and make policy recommendations to strengthen financial synergies and increase financial inputs to rural education. It provides a reference for narrowing the gap between China's urban and rural compulsory education development. Smith's policy implementation modeling framework. One policy objective refers on funds on urban and rural compulsory education in Heilongjiang. The objective, the implementation of input policy, and whether resources equalization has been achieved. 2. Implementing agencies, whether local governments, funds, for instance, departments and the education sector exhibit the disparities in fund allocation and utilization during the implementation process and how these deviations impact the effectiveness of policy execution. 3. Target group. Understanding and implementation fiscal process from the perspective of teachers, parents, and studies, and whether balance in resource allocation and educational opportunities. 4. External environment, whether the level of economic development, the efficiency of facial transfers, and the impact of the social and economic environment on policy implementation affect the realization of funds. Qualitative research. The fund of fiscal investment in compulsory education and its impact on urban-rural disparities remains insufficient. Study primarily regarding how financial allocation affects educational presence and local level. This complex issue requires deep explanation. Therefore, qualitative research is appropriate for gaining comprehensive insights. Official statistics. Annual report of Heilongjiang Provincial Finance data show that in 2023, the total financial expenditure on education in province were 58.02 billion yuan, of which rural areas account for only 13%. The coverage of information requirement in rural schools were 15% of that in urban areas of per capita funding for infrastructure construction was only 75% of that in urban areas. Policy documents regulations on compulsory education imposed in Heilongjiang province and the 2019 provincial coordination reform pilot policy paper. Given its capacity to explore and comprehend policy execution, stakeholder expresses and etc. influences. Semi-structures in these interviews are deemed suitable for this research. Through interviews with teachers, parents, and students, these studies aims to review and notice the effects of financial investment policies on an urban and rural compulsory education. 20.3.3 2. Research participants purposely with sampling a sample of 50 primary and secondary schools, 6 in cities, 5 in counties, 4 in rural areas in Harbin, Suihua, Mohe, and corresponding townships or surrounding, and 50 teachers, 10 parents, and 20 studies were interviewed with similar strategies, open-ended questions to obtain data on the ultra impact of the financial investment in compulsory education in urban and rural areas, the implementation of the policy, and the allocation of educational resources. Interview subjects are Harbin, Suihua, Mohe, and their townships school, 15 primary and secondary schools in urban and rural areas. Interviews 15 teachers, 10 parents, 20 studies. Interview format. Same structures in views with open-ended question to get to process, face-to-face interviews and only interviews. Interview duration 20 to 30 minutes per person. Interviews. Actual impact of financial inputs, policy implementation, problem of urban-rural distribution of educational resources, data collation and analysis, audio recording and now talking to ensure accurate data, thematic analysis to summarize the interviews, compress data of urban-rural difference in different regions. Harbin, Suihua, Mohe to find the regional difference in financial input. For reference. Thank you, Professor.
Good that you're making the presentation, so every effort is a progress. Where do we start now? Some notes. Let me first start with the core of your research, right? So, can you go to the title of your research? Title of your research again. Okay, good. Urban disparity in the development, education, comparative study, financial inputs, and yeah, okay. So it looks like you are concerned about the financial inputs. Yeah. So there's a urban-rural disparity and the financial inputs. So that's the big one, the big two parts of your research. So the rural-urban disparity in compulsory education, and the other one is financial inputs. Right. So that is the core, the main core of your work. Let's see. Let's analyze closer your research questions. Let's go to research questions.
I can control this slide.
You control it? You can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a new upgrade in WebEx.
Oh, wow.
If there's
Right.
someone share screen the slides,
The
and we are the host,
host.
we can control the slides.
Oh, okay. That's a new one. So basically you're controlling the laptop
Yeah.
on the other side too.
Yeah.
Can you write?
Right. Cannot.
Oh.
Right, you got to do anecdotal, okay. Oh, that's a new one. It's like a lab link now. It's like a com link. It's a computer link now. So by sharing, the person is also letting some control
Yeah.
whatever you do. Yeah. Okay. Right. The testing whether you can write, right?
No, I'm sharing my slide.
Now you're sharing the slide. Okay.
Yeah, so okay.
But just now you're controlling my slide.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So let's go to research questions, right? So broadly, Lan Bin, your research is about urban-rural disparity, right? In the compulsory education, and then you're also the main focus actually is the financial inputs. If you look at your research questions, number 1 and number 2, okay, so you do have number 1 there, clear, right? What are the current urban-rural disparities? Number 2, so what are the factors that contribute to these disparities? Right, so the second one is a broad question asking the various factors that contribute to this disparity. So not just financial, but it could be other factors, right? It could be about the institution, it can be about the policy, it can be about the culture, it can be about the human resource, right? It can be many things, like Lan Bin. You get what I'm saying?
冷冰叫你呢，你想说啥？
Okay, that's why it's better to do it over here. So Lan Bin doesn't know that I'm talking to him. You get what I'm saying? So your second research question, I hope I'm not talking to myself right now, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. The second research question is about all the factors that affect the urban-rural disparity. So the factors can be not just financial, it could be about the institution, it can be about the people, the teachers, it could also be about the administrators, it could also be about the infrastructure of the buildings of the school, or the roads that's impeding, that's stopping people from going to school, or people become late to go to school, right? And this is especially rural area. These are real issues. Even in Malaysia, people have to cross rivers and all that, right? In Indonesia, they have to cross bridges, and in Indonesia too, right? So the infrastructure, for instance, also culture, right? Culture might also influence. So a lot of things, right, that might influence the disparity, right? Now, your research is about financial inputs, right? So the way you make your arguments later on in all the slides, right, the following slides, is about analyzing the financial inputs mainly, or how the finances are being used. Is it enough? Is it being used by the school and all that? So so you have the second question. So the second question might open up for more variables or factors or other mechanisms that lead to the disparity, right? But then you stop there and you analyze only the financial. So that is a problem in this, the logic of your research inquiry, the logic of your research. Right? So you want to see the disparity, right? Disparity between the rural urban, and then you ask the next question. You say what factors lead to this, and you might identify a lot of factors, right? But then eventually you are just focusing on the financial influence. Right? So your second research question is a very broad research question, right? Unless you take only the financial input how does the financial input, I'm going to rephrase the question, what impact does financial input have on the disparity between rural and urban areas, so something like that. What impacts, what effects do financial inputs have on the disparity, right? So you're focusing mainly on the financial inputs, if that's what you're interested to study. You're just interested to study about the financial inputs, and how the financial input have the impact, right? But remember, okay, remember, if you choose that one, Lamin, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying, right? Financial, how do you say financial in Chinese? Financial
财政
Huh?
财政
Input?
投入
投资 So, 财政投入 if you're focusing on that one, it should reflect in your research question. Then your research question should not ask but a lot of things. The research question must go to that one, right? Otherwise, you have this research question and suddenly you just go to the financial inputs. You just analyze financial inputs. Then there's something wrong there, right? So this is where you open up the space, open up the windows, 3 windows, 4 windows, 5 windows. You open the door and people can attack you easily, right? But this is where what you want to do is to zoom in, limit, scope the research to something that you want to study. Now, okay, that is something that you must change in your research question if you want to just focus on your financial input. Now, I'm also asking you to think about whether you just want to think about the financial inputs, because you have a model. We go to the Smith model and below, scroll down further. Yeah, that one. Yeah, you have this model, right, that you want to analyze the policy objectives. You want to analyze the implementing agencies. You want to analyze how the distribution of benefits to the various target groups. So you're not just studying the financial inputs. You're also studying the policy. You're also studying the agencies. If you're using this analytical framework, right? So your research question should reflect what you want to study. Your research question right now, if you put just financial inputs, then you're not studying all this. Then your research question must say, what impact does policy objectives have on the urban-rural disparity? What impact do the implementing agencies have on the urban-rural disparities? What impact? Now, you get what I'm saying, Lambin?
Yeah.
Okay. So your research questions must specify, must state, must say. I'm saying in different ways so that you can get what I'm saying there. So triangulation in my language. Your research questions must specify or state or make clear that you are identifying A, B, C, D. There, right? A is financial inputs, B is policy objectives, C is the implementing agencies. This is what, if that's what you want to study. You got that, Lambin? So your research questions need to be improved in that way, right? So remember, eventually, when it comes to Viva defense, they will say, have you answered your research questions? Okay. Then you say, yes, I have answered questions. Question 1 is how I answered. This question 2 is how I answered. Question 2.1, this is how I answered. Question 2.2, this is how I answered. That's your defense. And whether your findings have been analyzed, whether your findings are PhD worthy, right? So that is another part of my comment that you will want to take note, right? You do have something that is progressing towards PhD research right now. So this is progress, right? You want to clarify further. Now, another one, still the core of the research, right? You're carrying out a PhD research, so there must be theoretical contribution. There must be a higher level of theoretical contribution. You are not just doing a report. You're not just doing a government report. You are doing a scholarly analysis, right? So the scholarly analysis must show that you're making theoretical contribution at a higher level. Right? So if you're using a model that Smith has developed, right? So what is your theoretical contribution? Where is your theoretical contribution? So you want to come up with the theoretical gap, the theoretical vacuum that the current research, the current studies, that the theories out there have not explained, have not captured yet. You want to say, I want to see this gap that has not been analyzed yet. Giving an example right now. For instance, the gap, the urban-rural disparity, right? The urban-rural disparity have many factors. Maybe one of the factors that contributes to the disparity involves the culture of the implementing agencies in the rural area. So the rural area might have certain culture, right? And the rural implementing agencies might have certain culture. And this culture, right, this agency, this culture of these implementing agencies have not been explained by current theory or theories. You want to explain it, right? So you analyze A, B, C, D, you say, oh, E is not there, F is not there, G is not there. So I want to look into E, F, G in my research in order to have a theoretical contribution, in order to make a theoretical contribution. All right, Lambe? You get what I'm saying? Okay? So you are not just doing a kind of report. No, not just a report. You're doing a scholarly analysis, a research, PhD analysis, and you're expanding the theory. So this is actually very important. So you want to think about that aspect of your research. What is it? What is that? People have studied, as we analyze this now, literature review, and people have studied ABC. Now you want to study, yes, you're still studying ABC, but you also want to see E, F, G, for instance, or E, or F, or Z, or P, or Q, or R, whatever. Right? You want to put that in, you say, this is the part that's lacking right now, right? You want to, that should also be included in your research questions, in your research objective, right? You got that, Lambe?
Yeah.
And that is actually an important, not just practical policy contribution, but theoretical contribution. And you have shown that there is disparity, right? You've shown that there's disparity. But you want to say what is this disparity that has not been explained by the current literature, by the previous studies, that you want to explain, that you want to explore. theoretically. Right? That is the one that I don't know. So you might have some ideas why that happens, why that happens, right? So that is the other one that I want to, another input I want to give you. All right. And another level, right, which in a way, not in a way, directly to your research questions as well, has to do with data, right? And if we go to the methodology and then the interview stuff, whatever down there, maybe, okay, research methodology, go down further, further down. Okay, yeah. I'm going to begin with this one and then we go to the next one. Right? So, in order to see what disparities exist, you want to get the statistics, you want to get the relevant statistics, the relevant documents, and if you want to look at the financial inputs, also you need to get the relevant statistics, the relevant documents, right? So that is one set of data that you need to have, right? And by the way, when we talk about urban-rural disparity, you also need to identify what kinds of disparity are you looking at, right? Are you looking at infrastructure disparity, or are you looking at performance disparity, that the urban schools are doing, students are performing better than rural schools? That's another one, right? The type of disparity, you do want to identify the type of disparity as well, right? So, the way I look at what you have arranged here, right? You have policy documents, you have official statistics, you have all that, right? And you scroll down into the next slide. And your methods, the methods you're using is interview, mainly interview, you can see that, right? But you also need not just interview, right? You need documents, right? You need to kind of verify the disparity, unless you're looking at the disparity, the subjective, perspective of the disparity. Subjective meaning the people's point of view, the actors or the informants' point of view, right? Unless you're looking at that, but you're not just looking at that. You're looking at objective disparity as well. You're looking at financial. You're looking at the type of schools they have, maybe, right? So you will need to collect data that is not just interviews. You need to collect data from something that is much more concrete. Maybe documents, maybe photos, pictures, observation. I don't know. It depends on what disparity you're looking at. If you're looking at how the students are performing, then you need to look at their academic records, right? How many students perform well and do not perform well academically in whatever subject, for instance, right? So that is also urban-rural disparity, if you're interested in that. If you're not interested in that, then you got to define what urban-rural disparity you're interested in, right? You're interested in just the infrastructure disparity, or you're just interested in the performance disparity, right? Or the type of academic performance, like Hansen is doing on Pakistani students, right? She's looking at how Pakistani students, like Atif downstairs there, is adapting to the social environment, right? And how Atif performs as a student academically, right? So she's interested in looking at academic performance, right? So that is a disparity. So you can look at USM is a is a urban school, urban university compared to some rural. I'm not sure Malaysia has a rural university somewhere, but suppose there's a rural university. You look at how active Pakistani Asif is doing in a rural place, academic performance. So that academic performance is a type of disparity. If you're interested in that type of disparity, you got to state it in your research question as well, which should be included in what data you want to collect, right? So if the disparity is just subjective disparity, you can use interviews only, right? But if it's not subjective disparity like academic performance, right? Then you need to have you need to have the statistics. Like Yefeng, she just do adaptive through and through. Right? There's no need for looking at school record, you don't need to do that, right? You don't collect data about the school record, students' performance, just what the parents say, and they can be completely about interview. But if you're looking at disparity, like the infrastructure, number of classrooms, number of chairs, number of tables, do they use smart board or not, or do they use chalk and green boards? Forgot now. What do you call the board?
What?
Board when you write. I forgot.
黑板.
黑板，对，黑板。and the white thing, what do you call?
粉笔.
粉笔，对。do they still use 黑板 or 青板 in rural area, right? Or they use what kind of pan, what kind of board do they use? I never used that word for so long. I forgot the word. Yeah, we hate pan. And then remember, when I was a student, we have a duty roster. Today you chai pan.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I went to school last time, I had that duty roster. Who's responsible? And if the teacher comes in and say, "Oh, it's not clean." Swimming chai pan. And then the monitor. What do you call the monitor? The head of the students? Pancang.
You mean the student?
The students.
Yeah, pancang.
This monitor has to make sure that the person knows that. So I'm talking about specific things like that. If you're interested to look at that kind of disparity, in China they don't use Heipan.
Maybe most of the teacher use the screen.
Screen now, right? So okay, but in for instance, in Malaysia, right, the government school will use whiteboard, right? If you go to the Chinese school, right? Oh no, smart board. Smart board, man, smart board. They use smart board like this one, better than this one. The one that you can like CNN, like you can touch screen board, right? Because I went there, I wanted to send my son to the Chinese school here. I went, it's a smart board, sponsored by the rich Chinese people, right? They use smart board. The students can go there and write and then one right. The school that I sent my son to, here is among the better school, but the best school in Penang last time, right? Did not even have. They have one smart board or something like that, right? Not even smart board. You can touch screen. It's basically this one, yeah, basically like this one, right? So the disparity between the government school and Chinese sponsored school is big in Malaysia. It's big, huge, right? Of course, the poorer Chinese school maybe somewhere, I don't know, yeah, but not in urban area. Urban area we have the rich Chinese Tauke's to sponsor, and Guineas also come in sometimes, right? Carlsberg, Guineas also come in and sometimes, right? So there's a disparity. So, Lamling, going back to your research questions, right? So, if your research question, you're interested to look at certain types of disparity, then you got to state it in your research question. All right, Lamling? So, your research question, your first research question is to specify the type of disparity. Your second research question is to specify the type of factors, that contribute to disparity. And bear in mind that you want to advance the discourse of rural-urban disparity. How do you advance the discourse of rural-urban, the knowledge of rural-urban disparity in education is to develop a new theorizing, a new theory perhaps, things that have not been studied before. Okay, Lamling, that's the core of your research, yeah. So you cannot just use Smith policy implementation framework. You got to go beyond that, right? I do have another. So okay. Let me complete first. Is Chimin here? Kak Shima is. If you all are in touch with Chimin, can you tell her to email the abstract?
To
Email the abstract to Madam Roshiman,
okay.
right? Because she's not here, Madam Roshiman needs the abstract for tomorrow's session, right? Where else? Okay, going back to Lamling, your another big one, Lamling, that I want to say is this. Okay, it is clear right now that you still have the challenge of pronunciation, the language pronunciation, right? More than half of your pronunciation cannot be understood, at least cannot be understood easily. So, I'm going to tell you this. The audience will find it hard to follow your presentation, hard to follow your text. So, you want to be in control of the text and point to the text whenever you read the words. You got that, Lamling?
Yeah.
Yeah? So it cannot be Hanif, it must be you that point to the text when you read the words, right? So you point one by one and you read it, right? So what happened is I tested by just closing my eyes and by not looking at the text. Wanted to capture what you say. I can capture some because I'm more in tune to the way you speak, right? But there's still half of it, or almost half of it, that I cannot capture with the words that you pronounce. So if I cannot do that, the examiner might be having, similar problem or even worse than that. So the way you handle this one is to point to use your cursor to point to the word that you recite, you read. That's number one. Okay, number two, as I noted before, in previous supervision, I said when you have a paragraph or paragraphs, right, what you want to do is to highlight the key words in the paragraphs. Highlight, bold it or highlight it, right? Make it stand out. So the reader, the audience, the evaluators, the examiners eventually, when they look at the text, they can see the keywords immediately. right? So that's point number 2, that's about pronunciation. And point number 3 in the pronunciation, again, Lambin,
Yeah.
you must continue to practice the English pronunciation. The English pronunciation, the English conversation, right? English conversation means listening and speaking, listening and speaking, listening and speaking. And the pronunciation, especially the one that you want to present. You just let Google or whatever you give me apps and stuff. Let the apps read it. You follow exactly what the apps, how the apps pronounce the words. So you pronounce it exactly the way it's pronounced. You might have challenges in future conversations, but you have the time to practice your presentation. So you want to practice your presentation many times, right? As close as possible, the way it is pronounced by the apps, by the software. Right? That's point number 3. Okay, Lambin, that is very crucial.
Okay.
Because once the evaluators, examiners say, I don't understand him, then you got a problem, right? Or I cannot understand the presentation, then you have a problem, right? You do not want that to happen, right? So number 1 there is you need to point to the words that you are reading, right? Number 2 is you highlight the keywords, right? So when you point to the word you're reading, this will help much more, right, than if you do not point. Example, if you do not point, if you have big text, right, suddenly they cannot follow you, they do not know where you are in the text anymore. But if you have that, right, they know, I can go back to the text. And when you point to the text and you recite, you read, so they know exactly, of course, he's saying this, he's saying that, he's saying this, he's reading this. Right? So that helps, right? So the other one is when you have keywords, the evaluators or the examiners will know, this is the main points of your slides of your presentation, right? And you want to continue to practice the English pronunciation. Yeah? So you have time to prepare for presentation, because this is your presentation, you can repeat it many times, right? And then the other one is to practice the listening and speaking. Use the apps. I think Muntadi also shared some apps, so that is a must for you there. Okay. Let's see. This is quite financial. There are certain things that I do not really understand your slide. 1.6 innovative, I think we go to innovative there. Yeah. What is this? Lambin, what is this? It is a new subheading in PhD presentation. I've never seen innovative in a PhD presentation. You want to explain to me what this is?
创新性吗？这是创新吗？
I don't know. 知道。
What is this?
你解释一下，这是
这是干嘛的？
创新性。
你解释这内容，就是为什么要呈现这一部分？
上次说我创新性，我就把它呈现了。
Sorry， 刚刚是不明白，你为什么要有这个 innovative？ 这是什么意思？这是什么？ What is this？
就是上次不是说，要有创新性嘛，所以我就把创新性写上面了。
创新性。
Yeah, last time you say that maybe your thesis don't have the innovation, the medical innovation. Just like you just tell him to put some theoretical contribution.
Theoretical contribution,
Yeah.
okay. So you don't want to call it innovative. It's like you gotta remove the word innovative. You call it theoretical contribution or something like that. Yeah.
Just like the thesis significance.
Like this, yeah. So the significance and theoretical contribution, there's some overlap, but there's a difference as well.
Yeah.
So maybe I say something, you interpreted it as something else, and then you use a different word there, Landin. So I did not use the word innovative. I'm not sure I did use the word innovative, right? Innovative is used somewhat differently this way. So we seldom use innovative for in this context unless you are doing a technology research or something like that, right?
Just because it's very common in China.
It's common in China. I mean, it's a common word to use in management and organization, right? You know, which USM's song has the word innovation there, technology. So our country likes the word. The country likes the word, the government likes the word. Yeah. Malaysia likes this word too. Malaysia likes this word. Sorry, inovasi. We even have have an institution called inovasi. So it's an important word. But if you put this word in the presentation, they will say, okay, word. Because it's not a common word to use in the presentation, right? So maybe you're talking about theoretical contribution or just research contribution. You can use that word, right? Fill the gap in investment or compulsory. But that fill the gap, that looks like theoretical contribution there, right? Yeah. So that's theoretical contribution provided empirical support for theory analysis of deep-rooted. So that's theoretical contribution. Regional currency considering to account the special economic factors. Okay. Yeah. But if you already have theoretical contribution, you don't really need this one there, right? You don't unless you put this one a theoretical contribution or something, right? So you don't have to do that. So maybe it's theoretical contribution that you're doing, you're writing down here. So I think you can go to the. I think you have the theoretical practical gap or something, right? So no, this one up there. It's a research significance. So research theoretical significance to fill. That's theoretical significance. Yeah. Then again, now Landi, you want to rethink your theoretical contribution or theoretical significance because you want to be clearer on the rural-urban disparity. What rural-urban disparity are you looking at, and what factors are you identifying? Are you analyzing, right? That can lead to this urban-rural disparity, right? So that is change you need to have. So the change will also lead to different theoretical contribution. So you don't want to use the word innovative here. You don't even have to have this slide. I'm not sure you need to have this slide, right? Innovative concern theoretical contribution. And then in your go to the interview thing again, So going back to the point I was talking about just now, about interview, this one, no, power, this one. The interview thing, this one, okay. Yeah, the purpose of sampling and all that. So you would want to identify what data, the sources of data, right? So you can still continue to do interview, right? But if you need data from statistics, data about infrastructure, you need to get them from other sources, not just interview, right? To answer your research question. So it depends on what your research questions are. Your data set also would need to be different based on your research questions, right? So the data must correspond to the research questions. Anything else with review? What data? Innovate. All right, that's all I have for now, Lambin. Do you have any question?
Yeah.
Any comments, questions? Or anyone else wants to share your thoughts or questions? Definitely welcome. Anyone? Okay, if there's no one, then we. Lambin, do you have anything you want to ask? You want to comment?
No.
No, at this point, okay.
No.
So this is to clarify further. Okay. So, all right. Okay. If there's none, then we will meet again tomorrow. And tomorrow, I think we have two. We have three presentations. Another one is your friend, Xiao Jun.
小菊，
Who is it?
少林寺。
少林寺啊，小菊，谁是
The
？New student，
the Kung Fu guy.
Oh, Jungge. Chang Chuju.
Yeah.
Chuju.
许娟，
Yeah.
So,
张许娟
I think so. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
，boy，
A boy, yeah. The tall guy.
Oh, he wants to do it.
哦，
Yeah, he looks like a Kung Fu guy.
功夫干，
Right.
Yeah.
哦。
What's his name again?
Tomorrow when will we start?
Start at
10?
10. You start at 10. Yeah. Start at 10. Yeah.
So our breakfast need more.
张旭君。
啊，真是他呀，张许军。
小军，军啊，对不对？
哦，
军
有。
啊，军，阿米。
Right, that's right,张旭军。the Kung Fu guy. So tomorrow we have who? Chi Min is presenting, and then you are presenting. Yeah, yesterday's been a long day for me, so sorry. And then CG, yeah. Yeah. So three presentations, yeah. Chi Min will be presenting proposal. Yifeng, you'll be presenting your research progress, your finding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Both of you are doing abductive research, by the way. Right? And then Xijin will be presenting after both of you presented.
He requested
张许军吗？功夫小张许军，长得像功夫派。张许军来吗？
PJ for one kan?
不是军哥，他说的是谁啊？
I'm not sure.
他齐名吗？
Proposal defense.
齐敏，我还有一个人，
啊？
这是谁呀？
I'm not sure.
Who?
他就喜欢你和
功夫盖，功夫盖。
张旭军。
对吗？
attend our ceremony.
He be presenting. There's a committee. Tomorrow is a CPR committee, right?
Free. You
Download.
Downstairs, yeah.
Downstairs. Oh, not our group survey.
No, tomorrow is real. Tomorrow is group supervision is real. Tomorrow is the committee, right?
明天也是中期汇报，不是我们小组督导。
It's a committee, yeah.
Can you see my PPT?
I've seen this before so many times.
Both of us understand like our group survey.
加油加油加油
Congratulations. is also
I have told her to
Yes. It's the committee. Jimmy is presenting the committee as well because she has presented. I look at it, so she presented the committee. Sujin as well is the committee as well. Yeah. So, who else? Yeah. So, okay. Hey, Samir, are you okay? God, Samir.
Hello.
Yes, Samir. You just woke up.
What?
You just woke up.
I'm not.
You woke up, right? This is early morning in Qatar.
Yeah. How are you, bro?
5个小时的时差，差不多。
Oh, you gotta be careful. You never know what Israel and US will do next. You know, the bombing Gaza, bombing Iran. That's really bad.
The situation is very difficult.
That's crazy now. We don't know what you want to do.
Yeah, we don't know what's the future, what may be happening. Trump last day talked about I give Iran 2 weeks. At night, bomb.
Bomb. Yes.
What we can do.
Yes. God, I don't know about this.
The situation in the Middle East is very conflict. We don't know what's the future.
他是哪国的？
他在卡塔尔。
It's
What's the
crazy.
scenario?
富翁啊！
Yeah, so anyways, we are calling it a day today, right? So we're gonna have some adventure afterwards. Tomorrow we will see you all again, right?
Can Lambin have his presentation？开题怎么说来着 ？Proposal presentation。
Personal.
Proposal defense.
Then we get killed and propose a defense like this. You cannot.
Cannot.
Ready yet?
还是要
It's
再
not ready yet. It's not ready
我也
yet.
一样。
不行啊，蓝斌，还是不行，得再来来。
还不准备了，还不能，给人家杀掉了。那个 present now, right? Cannot yet.
Lanbing, just a recommendation, although my English is imperfect, but when you speak in English, put your tongue inside a little bit, the pronunciation will be much more better. 把头放进去一点，那个 pronunciation 那个发音就会比较标准。
你的舌头放进去一点呢，这样子啊？
舌头放进去一点。
舌头。
Look like no Chinese in Malaysia cannot process or pronounce ramai. They always pronounce ramai.
What is that word?
Can you give me example, John? So give me example.
Okay, alright, okay. Made in China. Okay, no added materials. So if I put my English inside, I put my tongue inside. Let me read something. Okay, the quality and popularity of political leadership in the years to come is obviously relevant. So I put my English inside. I put my tongue inside a little bit. So when I put my tongue inside a little bit, it will be the pronunciation will be much more standard. Yeah.
Okay. You gotta put your tongue. So throw. You gotta project the words, right? You gotta throw the throw.
Thank you.
那个你说的时候，你舌头要出来一点，这样子啊。
里面放进里面。
放进里面还是放进外面？
里面一点。
里面哦 ，OK， 不是外面。
不是外面，里面一点。
里面一点 ，OK。
把舌头放在里面一点。
哦，里面一点 ，OK。
Ramai orang always the Chinese will say Ramai orang is Ramai orang.
Oh, okay. The R, right? The R is tricky. The R is always tricky. Yeah, that's tricky. Oh, Janan, how are you? Is it Janan?
Yeah.
Okay, right, Janan, all right. I thought you had something to do. We will arrange for you all to get ready for the biggest presentation, your Viva, right? So we will arrange a time for you all to Janan, so that you, Tandis, and Muhammad will have a special session individually, right? So I'm making time for that one for you all. So Nana, you hear me?
赵晨远。
师姐。
Yeah. Okay, we'll schedule a time. I know that. So yours in July 8, right? July 8? July 8 or July 9? July 8, something like that. July 9. So we will arrange them. Yeah. Usually I will schedule about a week plus minus before your Viva, so that the training is still there, the memory is there before then. I'm concerned about Tandis and Muhammad, by the way. I do not know what's happening with them.
In Iran.
It's in Iran. Iran being bombed, right? 3 places are being bombed there.
Yeah.
You see, there are Indonesians there too, there's Malaysians there too, in Iran, right?
Yes. Students.
Anyways, okay, so we'll call it a day, so we will see you all again tomorrow.
Do we have confirmed the order?
Confirm what?
Order 顺序。
Order.
Who first?
Oh, presentation.
Oh, the sequence order.
Tomorrow.
I think who's be first? We can check.
Maybe they have the
Depends
email to
who
you.
first come first serve.
No. Xu Jin will be the third one.
Oh, Xu Jin 第一。
Oh yeah, he's the third one.
So who sent the form first? You or Qi Min? Maybe Qi Min first, I think.
I think
Send the form.
he made this for proposal defense.
谁先提交的？
那就是他们。哦，那我最后一个。
Qi Min first, yeah.
行，好的
We。follow the sequence of the form. But just be ready. Tomorrow, there's no difference between the first and second. So speaker. Samir, do you have something you have to ask?
Yeah. I want to ask about if there are any updates about my thesis to approve the notice submission, or I don't know what they are happening now. What they are talking about the course supervisor, they are happening about the notice submission.
Your co-supervisor, I processed it, I think, a week or 2 before I went to Indonesia last time. There was process, so we will follow up again and with Panchima. You can follow up with Panchima. I will follow up again, right? Once that's done, then the notice of submission will be processed accordingly, right? So you have done that part. So you have done your part. We will follow up. We will follow up for you too. You can. So that's good that you are asking, Samir. So what all of you want to do from time to time is to just to check with Panchima. Either every week or every other week, right? Once every 2 weeks or once a week. Is there something that I need to do? Is there something that I need to know, right, from Panchima? So, and then that will help her to also trigger, right, It so happened that she's also not well. She'll be retiring soon. She's taking early retirement.
So who's going to
I don't know yet.
to replace?
Somebody will come
from outside.
from outside.
Move to here.
Yeah. Because she's not well. She's not well.
Yeah, the work cannot go smoothly.
Yeah, so, but One Rose is following up. All right, call it day. Good to see you all again. Good progress, Landin. Keep on staying on course and you know, when you're ready, just WhatsApp me or email me, and then we will arrange for another presentation in your group supervision. Right? And then, of course, the other thing, Landin, is that, and this is true for all of you, yeah. So whenever I ask, or the evaluator or examiner eventually, right, ask, you will need to be able to respond, right? And then you will not, first you will need to be able to understand the question, and you need to be able to respond to the question, right? So you need to do both. That's why, Landin, I'm telling you, the practicing the speaking and listening is actually very crucial for you. Right, for all of you, right? That's the important. Especially if you are all non-native English speakers, right? We are all not native English speakers, so we want to practice that more too. So that's the part to do. Okay, guys, we will meet tomorrow again. Make sure you do come tomorrow. Tell your friends to the rest of you, right? Welcome, Jay, Changjian. Okay. Where's Jonathan? Jonathan's here too.